Hi everyone, welcome back to the Stay Hungry podcast. Today I'm talking to Athena Cauley-Yu about getting meticulous. Athena, welcome to the Stay Hungry podcast.
Hello.
You've heard my radio voice for the first time, face to face.
I have.
It's weird. It's weird. I have to be professional now. Okay. So, speaking of being professional, for the benefit of our listeners, who the fuck are you?
I'm Athena. I run a luxury letterpress print and fine stationery company called Meticulous Inc. I'm based in Bath. I've had my business and my shop for 12 years, almost 13 years.
Whoa.
And I love making things. We do a lot of different things in the business and in the shop. We've got a retail shop. We do bespoke printing, and I teach workshops as well. So I do calligraphy and brush lettering workshops.
Nice.
And letterpress printing as well.
So you should never really ask a lady their age, but how old were you when you started this business?
25.
Nice.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. That's great. So that's pretty wild to at what is a relatively young age, decide you're going to do a brick and mortar business in a industry that some people would have said is dying. How did that come about?
So I always been creative. I ended up studying arts and media at university, specialised in fine art print because no one else used the print room.
Nice.
And everyone else was all squashed up in the fine art studios, and then the print room was just empty. And then you just had your own technician basically, which was great. So ended up doing silkscreen printing, and then after university, got a job after doing door-to-door charity fundraising.
Nice, as we all do.
Indeed, yes. It was intense and terrible and great. And then I got a job in a stationery shop, like a posh stationery shop in London. Worked there for like a year and a half, and then got headhunted by another stationery company in Mayfair. Worked there for a year and a half and did a bit of negotiating and got them to teach me how to use the computer programs. Because at that point I was just doing print consultation. So I'd help all the people with choosing all the things. And I was doing print finishing. So that was quality checking and doing scoring and tying bows and, gluing and mounting. So then worked there for another year and a half, and then always wanted my own business. My mum was always very encouraging, very much just leaving self-help books around.
Oh, I love that.
Subliminal messaging in there. And my dad had restaurants. I grew up with my mum.
Yep.
But he always just had cash.
Yeah, the restaurant game will cause that. Yeah.
Indeed. And then it came time to leave London because my other half was from Dorset and did not really like London the whole time we were there. So then it's time to leave London. And I thought, well, I might as well do the thing. And I can do this better.
Nice.
So then it didn't even enter my brain to not have a shop. I just really wanted to have a shop. So I started the business plan maybe November, December. And then that June got the business loan. July found a shop. August handed in my notice. September got the keys. October opened.
Wow. And you've never looked back.
Yeah. But I got a business loan, 3 credit cards before I left my old job, and then used my life savings and then opened the shop.
Shit. That's real.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's so much to unpack there. There's a lot. There's a lot to go at. So, parents separated. Grew up with your mum, who
Yes.
sounds like a very encouraging lady.
She's a badass. Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
Mm.
Your dad, what kind of restaurants did your dad run?
He had like Oriental restaurants in Northampton.
Cool.
He had a restaurant and a takeaway.
The best ever Chinese I've been to was in Northampton.
What was it? Maybe it was my dad's restaurant.
Maybe. What's it called?
Maybe. The Imperial Oriental House.
You're fucking joking. That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
It's hilarious.
So I took my wife to her first ever away day for football to Northampton, the Cobblers. And
when was that then?
Must have been 6 years ago now, maybe. And yeah, we wanted to go out for Chinese, and that was the one recommended on Google.
That's so funny.
That's hilarious.
I don't remember when he sold it, because he sold it, and they kept the name. I don't remember when.
That's crazy. What are the chances of that?
That's so funny.
Okay, so what kind of in terms of business, what kind of influence were your parents?
So, I mean, we didn't. I feel like it was a really weird childhood, because we didn't have much money at all.
Yep.
And my dad would come, and then he would give the child support.
Yeah.
And then he would go. And then the time between him, I had a really happy childhood.
Yeah, no, you're not giving the impression you didn't. That's not.
Yes, okay.
It's just coming across like I can see where some of the tenacity has come from.
Yeah. So, but my dad would also ply us with shiny objects.
Yeah.
So we'd have like, the new trainers and the mini disc player I had, and like a digital camcorder, just like lots of shiny things.
Yeah.
But then we didn't have, so there's like maybe 5 days. So every time he would come, then there would be like a longer time between then the next time he came.
Yeah.
And so my mum would be trying to contact him, and obviously no mobile phones or whatever. And it would just get longer and longer between each time. And there was like maybe 5 days where we just didn't have any money, and we couldn't buy any food. And we just didn't, like, I couldn't take any lunch to school. And I was too ashamed to ask or to tell anyone at school.
Yeah.
And I remember my friend, she used to get free school lunches, and we weren't signed up for it. And I think that was partly, maybe in hindsight, because of like my mum's shame, or maybe she was scared that like stuff, like,
it's a tricky one
and stuff.
Right.
And that had like a huge impact on me, and I always knew that I wanted to have my own business, so I didn't rely on someone else.
I love that.
For my money.
How many siblings have you got?
I got 2 siblings, so my sister's 9 years older than me.
Yep.
And then my brother is 2 years older than me.
Yeah.
But I feel like we each had a very different upbringing, kind of thing.
Yeah, it sounds like you got the short end of the stick in the end.
No, see, I think I got the best end of the stick.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's really good. Yeah, no, I completely appreciate that. Funnily enough, I think for want of a better phrase, control freak element and my business fire comes from the fear of repeating what my childhood was, even though lots of my childhood was lovely. But being poor is fucking hard, and unless you've been poor, you don't know.
Yeah.
And it also being poor, and I think this applies to you too, when quite a few people around you are affluent. So like when it's frowned upon to be. I think it's
the thing of people, like for me, people didn't think I was, because we had all the shiny things.
Yeah. So like the free school meals thing, it's really hard to have to get in the other queue. Like, like that's tough.
Yeah.
And like I had that. My mum was actually a dinner lady, and I had to get in the other queue. And
Yeah.
I'm like, this is really
Oh.
shit.
Yeah.
Like, 'cause everyone knows.
Yeah.
And
Like that's the pork you over there.
yeah,
Who's
yeah.
there?
You can have the set menu because that's what
Yeah.
free school meals covers.
Hmm.
And your friends are having 2 puddings and an extra drink. You can't have that. Like at 12 years old, that's fucking hard to process. But
Mm.
it does ignite something in you about not wanting that in the future, and like
Yeah. Absolutely.
learning things like abundance mindset, that
Mm.
there's a lot out there for you. I think
Mm.
you go one or two ways. You either become a victim of it, or you try not to. so,
Mm.
so okay. Thank you
See,
for.
I feel like for me, with like the thing I have difficulty with is that I know that I can survive on very little.
Mm,
And like that's always the thing that I find difficult to deal with is like, oh, well, I can like I've been through worse than that. I can deal with that thing that's
yeah,
quite hard and not ideal, you know?
yeah. It's tricky space that I think I do okay now, but I think people
Mm.
think I'm wealthier than I am
Hmm.
because I survive on very little.
Yeah.
But that's just like it's ingrained in me. Like
Yeah.
like a daft thing, but like people say to me, "Why do you shop at Aldi?" I'm like, "Why don't you shop at Aldi, you
Yeah.
fucking maniac?" Like, it's the same food, so
Yeah.
and, like that kind of thing. And I've started to like get a bit precious and get past that now with certain things,
Mm.
because you start to like realize how important time is. So when you
Mm.
start to value time, you start to realize that sometimes paying extra to save yourself time is worth it. But
Yeah.
yeah, that it's a blessing and a curse that you can live off a shoestring, because sometimes
Yeah.
it makes your financial comfort zone like very low,
Yeah.
and then trying to be aspirational when you know, actually I can get by on 20 quid a week. It's
Exactly.
like
Exactly.
so
Right?
how, like, you've been in business 12 years now, so there
Mm.
must have come a point where you were like, I can't just keep scraping by. Like, I've got this loan, I've got these credit cards, this needs to
Mm.
be legit. I need to like make this happen. What?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
To be fair, it took me a long time to pay off those credit cards.
Mm.
A lot, like much longer than it should have. I do not recommend doing that. So don't do that. Um, but it was, I think it was, so I started the business with my then other half,
Hmm.
and then we broke up.
So how
Um,
long from starting to break up?
um, I think 4 years.
Okay, so you made a good go of it, both
Yeah.
relationship wise and business wise.
We were together for like 10 years
Why?
almost. Is that right? Yeah, about that. So it was like, yeah, 4 years in, we parted ways. For lots and lots of reasons, but some of the reasons also because he was very, very anxiety,
Hmm.
like full of anxiety. And so I was then hiding financial things from him so that he wouldn't get stressed. So then I was like, okay, I can carry this burden because he
Yeah.
obviously cannot. And so then we went through the process of me buying him out and having to actually go through all the financials and then him realizing, oh, we haven't just got loads of money. And um, him thinking it was worth like 3 times as much than it was.
Do you mind
And
sharing the numbers? What did he think it was worth?
so now what happened in the beginning? So because we went through everything together,
Hmm.
like to come up with a number of like what the value of the current like everything that was in the building was.
Yeah, like the asset value of the business.
Yeah. And I think initially I offered him 20K.
Yeah.
He then went away and Googled and decided, no, actually, I think it's worth 60. I think it was 60 he then asked for. And I was like,
So
no.
he's saying it's worth 120 grand basically, and he
Yeah.
wants 60 to get out.
And so then we then asked our accountant to like do it from the outside, basically, so that
Yeah,
they would come up with a value, blah blah. And obviously they had all because we still had credit cards paying off, or they were only just getting paid off. Um, and so then they came back and they said, well, actually on paper, because of the debt you've got, is actually zero. So then I offered him 10 and we negotiated a bit and then he got 12.
fucking hell. So he's like kicking himself, wishing he took the first offer.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like that's the reality of business. So you can be a cash wealthy business,
Mm.
and not be worth anything,
Yeah.
or not, And I think a lot of people get, like, especially bricks and mortar businesses.
Mm.
If you've got rent to pay and like
Yeah.
maybe one or two staff, and then
It's a lot.
yeah, it eats into the money. Like we have situations where staff ask for a pay rise, and rightly so. If they're doing well, they should.
Mm.
But you're like, the only person that's going to get paid less, so you get a pay rise, is the business owner. And
Yeah.
unless the deal is okay, you can have your pay rise, but only if you bring in 3 times that much in income,
Mm.
and
Yeah,
and that's not what's going to
exactly.
happen. So it's like
Yeah.
there's so much to consider. So you've you've scraped to grow the business
Yeah.
with your partner at the time. You've then had to give him 12 grand, which I imagine wasn't a sum that was that easy to come by.
So then I had to get another business loan and get a friend loan as well. Pay him off. Pay those. Um, and then once that was done, actually, then I felt like, oh, I can actually make some money now.
Yeah.
Great.
And when did that
So,
start to happen?
so that was, I think that was like 2 years it took me to pay off those, I think. Um, Maybe three, let's say three. And then, um, because then as well, we moved everything to the one premises as well, because
Hmm.
we had two premises before.
Why?
And then, um, yeah, and then it felt like, but it's that thing as well of, even though it felt like, okay, there's more money, but I don't need that. So then I would still live on very little.
Yeah, but like I would suggest that then gives you some incredible options in life,
Mm,
because you can either reinvest in the business, which a lot of people don't reinvest as much as they should,
mhm.
or you can do other cool shit. And when everyone
Yeah.
else is, a really like lazy example is lots of people go to the pub on a Friday and a Saturday.
Mm,
They maybe have a takeaway on a Friday and a takeaway on a Sunday, and
mm.
that alone, that's a 300 quid weekend.
Yeah.
So like times that by 52, and
Bloody hell.
yeah, and I think you know I'll give some context. So the reason I met you is we both bought Gary Vaynerchuk's VFriend NFTs, and we're both in that Web3 NFT community. I think probably both come into it. Neither of us are actually that bothered about NFTs and Web3. It was
Yeah,
it was more, we liked Gary and we liked the idea of what he was building.
absolutely.
So rolling forward for me, how did you go from a business that was starting to pay you, which is good,
Mhm.
to spending a significant amount of money on an NFT?
So I had no intention of buying an NFT. I
Okay.
had no, like, I saw all the stuff that Gary Vee was doing and, all the hype that he was talking about and like explaining what NFTs are and
So
all of
how
that.
was Gary Vee in your world at that point?
Oh, I'd followed him since like YouTube Ask Gary Vee days.
Nice.
So I followed him for a good few years. And I just really like that he swears and he's got great energy and he's very much real about business. Like, yeah, you
Yeah.
do have to work fucking hard if you want your business to succeed.
Yeah.
But also being very positive about it, and like he's a real optimist.
Yeah,
And
I love
I really
like
like that.
I love like his outlook on the positive impact you can have on the world by working
Yeah,
hard.
yeah, exactly. Um, and being scrappy and doing the unscalable things.
Yeah.
And I just really like that. So I'd followed him for a good few years anyway. And then he was talking all about the, VFriends project and NFTs. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? And I had no intention. So it came to launch day and then it all got delayed.
Yeah.
And I think
I
I
remember.
happened to have a day off on that day. And then I was like, well, just having a look and see what actually is this? What is Ethereum? What is this?
Yeah. That was my
And
problem. I was like, I know what Bitcoin is. What the fuck's Ethereum?
I was
Yeah.
like, I didn't even know what Bitcoin was. I was just like, what even is any of this? And then I was like, well, and in my head, for some reason, I just thought, well, maybe like ETH is probably worth like £800. I don't know why I had that in my head. And then I was like, let me just go and see what ETH is. And at that point, it was like £2,000. I was like,
Yeah.
And so I was like, no, this is not for me. This is not for me.
So
And then,
for context for the listeners, we knew when it launched that the lower tier VF1s, Series 1s, were going to be 1 ETH. And
yes,
we knew
so you
that.
needed to have 1 ETH. And
Yeah.
you kept going on about have 1 ETH and you were able to get a thing.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, okay, 1 ETH. Oh my God, I'm so excited. So then ran away and did not. And then it just kept getting delayed and delayed. And I feel like it was a little bit of brainwashing. It was just like kept coming up on my feed. And I was like, oh my God. Oh. And I had a bit of money in the business. And I was like, well, I haven't taken any money out. So maybe I could do the thing. And I just thought, fuck it. So I took the money, and at that point, I think ETH was even more, and I was like, ugh. And I was like, it's fine. I just won't tell anyone. It's okay. I won't tell anyone, but I'm going to buy a JPEG. And then so I bought my first NFT, which was the Hot Shit Hornet
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah, so I guess if you don't know what an NFT is, you've probably not been listening. But this an NFT is a non-fungible token. They come in all sorts of forms, generally delivered as a picture or like a small video. But some have utility, some don't. Some are purely there for the art. Some exist as tickets. Some exist as like all sorts of stuff. And Gary's, he had all sorts of variations, but ultimately the kind of crux of the deal was you were part of this world that was based on values that he strongly believes in, that he wants to educate the world on positivity, and also you got access to his conference for 3 years.
Oh yeah. Ah!
So you've now
yes.
taken the plunge and dropped $2,000 on a really bad drawing of a hornet.
It was really bad, yeah.
And I've done the same on a really bad drawing of a turkey.
Yeah, it's great, right?
I at the time had not long been married to my wife, and we were obviously in the middle of COVID as well. So I had to then explain that I'd bought a really bad picture of a turkey to my wife. Did you have anyone you needed to explain to, or were you like, this is my secret?
I did not. Did I? I'm just trying to think what time of year it was. It would have been like end of May, right? Maybe.
Yeah, it was definitely April, May time, because it was the anniversary of it was essentially the first VCon.
Oh yeah, that's true. So I did have a significant other, but we were in the stage where I do what I want because we were still quite fresh and new. So
Nice.
I was like, this is what I'm doing. And then didn't really tell anyone else. Ooh. And I think maybe I didn't really say how much it was.
Yeah, no, I get that.
And then, because then I was like, okay, I bought my NFT, that's fine. but then there was loads just on the floor. So because he did it as a Dutch auction, so the
Yeah.
prices kept coming down, and there were still loads left, like the bottom price. And then I was like, oh no! And there were still specs left as
Mm.
well. So they're spectacular ones. And so then I took out some more money and I got a spec. Oh.
So have you got a spec hot shit hornet as well?
No, I've got a spec major moss, lava major moss.
So I don't know what went wrong with me on this day, or whether I got caught napping or whatever. But by the time I got round to it, there was only rares left.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
So I ended up dropping more than I should have. And to this day, we still don't know if that means anything, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure it will. But right now, I've got a brown background instead of a white background. That's like literally it.
Yeah.
But
Matches the turkey, right?
yeah, it's great for the I mean, the turkey, like the hot shit hornet is a good one, and I think the turkey's a good one as well. Like,
Yeah.
you got to think about how much exposure the characters are going to get.
Yes. Very good thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, like Karma Kiwi, that was always going to be a good one. Like, you have to like really like get ahead of it. And
I didn't think about that though when I was buying it. I was just like, which one speaks to me and which one looks all right.
I was at the point where it was like, what's left?
Yeah.
And then I was like, right, best of a bad bunch. Fucking Americans love Thanksgiving. A turkey's got to be all right.
Fuck yeah.
But ultimately, like for me, this gave me access to a conference that I knew Gary Vee would be at for 3 years, and I was like, fucking hell, I'd pay up to 10 grand for that. So I'm in. So you've made this mad move, bought this NFT. At what point?
When I got the spectacular one, I did not tell anyone how much that was. I was just like, no, that's locked down. Throw in key.
Yeah, I've got a good idea how much that cost, and yeah. What a move. Have you still got it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I bought it because I was like, right, I'm going to buy this and then I'm going to sell it, and that's going to be my deposit for my house. Did I sell it? Did I fuck?
and like for context for the listeners, it would have easily been a house deposit at one point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a fucking chunky house deposit.
Yeah.
No offense. I had the same thing. I remember.
I know. I was there. I know.
I walked into like a mastermind, business mastermind, and started talking about it. And people were like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" So I showed them what I'd paid for it and what it was worth there and then. And they were all like, "Holy shit! Surely you're going to sell it?" I'm like, "Absolutely not!" Like,
no.
I'm going to be Gary Vee's best friend. Fuck you. So,
that's right. Yeah.
So, knowing the journey from this point, then, how did you go from I've bought this NFT to I'm going to take time out of my business to go to Minneapolis and actually go to the conference?
Well, I just had to. I mean, how could you not?
Well, loads of people don't know, right? Which blows my mind.
It does make sense to me. I mean, I just knew how awesome it was going to be. It was going to be so awesome, and it was. So I had no doubt that it was going to be amazing.
Yeah, same. But very hard sell to anyone who had no idea who Gary Vee was or what an NFT was.
True, yeah.
You know, I had some pretty deep discussions with family members around like, yeah, this is going to be good for me. I'm going to meet people I'll never otherwise meet. I'm going to network with people I'll never otherwise network with. It's going to take me from a local business to an international business in one move. And it's going to expand my mind further than it would ever get expanded if I didn't do it.
Yeah.
And when you say stuff like that to family members, they think about having you sectioned. I literally told that story on a podcast recently. I was like, I'm fairly sure my wife and close family members thought I was on the cusp of insanity. Yeah, COVID's done him. Like he's bought a picture of a turkey. He's buying flights to America. He's never travelled on his own before. What the fuck is going on?
Oh yeah. There is like a bit of like a cult feel to.
There's some people who are so ingrained in the cult of it that I'm not sure that they can see the wood for the trees. And then there's some people who've bought it purely to try and make money, and and it's even worse for them, I think, because like it's just hot. It's not a transactional thing, and people are treating it like it is, and I think that's a story in business, really, is that if you get ultra transactional about your business, you lose the kind of joy of business.
Yeah.
You know, like that could be a good way of explaining how someone who's in like an artisan traditional business like you can be so optimistic about such a essentially clinical technological space, because it's the human element, right? It's the touch and the feel and the values. So I don't know your VCon 1 story because I didn't meet you till VCon 2. So
correct.
Did you decide to travel by yourself? Did you get your own accommodation? Was it the first time you'd ever travelled on your own? Like, talk to me.
So I started hanging out in Clubhouse a lot.
Yeah.
And just sort of started to like know people in there. And I happened to be in Clubhouse when the venue for the location for the first VCon got announced, and Loic was in there, and because I think something got leaked or something before it actually officially got announced, and so we all happened to be in the Clubhouse. I'm pretty sure that's right, and we were like, "Oh my god, it's really nice! Go, go, go!" And then everyone that was in the Clubhouse just went and booked places to stay.
Yeah.
And me and Loic just happened to both book at the Moxie, which is the one that was like literally across the road from the stadium.
Yeah.
But I like booked my flights and everything just by myself. I think I was already in then the WhatsApp group. So there's a UK WhatsApp group. And then we started planning. There was like a VCon WhatsApp group as well for people that were actually going.
See, I can't imagine what that was like. Like the buzz around that.
So fun.
It must have been wild. And I'm sat there like not knowing that existed. And I'm not asking for sympathy, but my experience of it was like, fuck, I'm going to America on my own and I don't know anyone. And like I've taken a massive punt and I've not spoken to a single other human who's got one of these things.
That's a very different experience.
I actually didn't. I knew one guy who'd got one, but he wasn't vaccinated, so he couldn't go.
Okay.
And so I had no one to like soundboard off. So when everyone
But were you in the Discord then?
I'm like a reluctant Discord user. So I was there, but I don't think anyone knew I was there. And when I commented, I got crickets, and so I was like. I was like, well, to this day, I'm in a few Discords now, and I don't really get it. Like, I'm like, this feels like the Matrix to me. I'm not sure what the fuck's going on. Like,
see, I was quite heavy in the Discord as well.
Yeah,
I was like trying to, because they started doing the like points for how many messages you were sending, and then they were like doing a prize for the most.
Oh, were you on the leaderboard?
Oh, I was like in the within 100 and 200.
Because someone we know was high up on the leaderboard, right?
Oh,
and they fell out with someone who's quite famous in the community for it. Yeah.
Sassy. Very sassy.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I've no idea where this is going business wise for like a for like a growth podcast, but okay. So, what was your favourite bit about VCon? Let's go there.
It was wonderful to put people to the names because I've been.
I've no idea what that was fucking like. Just wandered around on my own for 3 days.
Yeah. So it was really lovely to actually, then you'd be chatting to someone and then you'd figure out their Discord name and you're like, oh my god, that's you! I know you already. That was really lovely, and just making loads of friends. It's really nice.
It's mad. Like even the first one for me, it's like walking into a room full of your best mates.
Yeah,
And like
because you
when there's
all already have something in
5,000,
common.
yeah.
It's just like lovely.
And like a lot of the people are very values led because that's what the movement is. Then we're all geeks one way or another. There's like, could be creative geeks, could be like technology geeks, could be crypto geeks.
Yeah.
But like none of us are mainstream. It's probably like a safe way to say it. Like we're all like coming at it from the fringes, and you just walk into that space and you're like, fucking hell, this is what life's meant to be like. And so
My people.
yeah. These are my people. And like even this last time, I came back and I was buzzing for so long afterwards that I was annoying. Like you just like, and I'm still buzzing now. Like every once in a while, I'll sit there and like chuckle to myself about something, and then I'm like, "Oh, check yourself. There's people watching, you weirdo."
No.
Like, yeah. So you went to VCon. Who were like your best speakers for the first one?
Jesse
Yeah.
Eisler. I was sitting on the floor, and I arrived. I didn't arrive for the very beginning, but it was like packed out.
Yeah, they made a mistake and put him on a side stage.
They did, but it was cool though. Like,
Yeah,
really
it was like the stage that you
him.
wouldn't even know was there if he wasn't speaking on it because it was just like hidden in the stadium.
Yeah. So then, I was like sitting on the floor in there, and he was great. And I really liked how he had like a DJ there, and like for his thing, it was like a lot. He'd made a lot of effort into his whole presentation, and like those pictures, and it was really, really good. I wrote a lot of notes during that one.
I'm definitely stealing that DJ thing. Like,
oh,
when I get to the point where I get booked for a talk and it would be acceptable to turn around and say, "Oh, by the way, I need some decks."
Yeah.
I'm doing it.
That was great. Yeah, I love that. Who else was really good? It was lovely to see Danny Cole.
Yep.
Speaking on stage, and it was just really cool to see all the Web3, the Web3 celebrities, I suppose.
Yeah, see, I've never really got enough into it to know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
So
and like ferocious.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like,
cool.
I don't know who these people are. But then I was like so inspired by Jesse Itzer. Just like was the highlight for me by a mile, and I'm like in his program now. I'm obsessed with the guy. Like he's a beast. But like Gary's talks were so good, and then I think Pharrell was amazing, and I was sort of pleasantly surprised by some of the like A-list celebrities who had projects, and when they talked about them, you were like, shit. You're successful for a reason. You're not successful just because you got lucky. It was like, like it was inspiring. So you went to that, came home. How did that impact your business?
How did that impact my business? I was very fired up, obviously, after the first one. Do you know what? It was more a thing of then I really, really wanted to be creative. And I think that is quite easy to lose when you're just in the day-to-day, in the running the business, keeping the cogs turning, deal with the phone call, reply to the email. And for me, it was that reminder to take a step back and actually make and create and draw and design things and make new products that I really love. And because we've got our own brand, our own line of stationery and greeting cards, and I run workshops, and we've got kits and things. And so it was just really nice to actually instill a bit more of that back in.
Yeah.
For me.
And what difference did that make to the business?
Artists. I don't know if it like increased our revenue specifically.
But I don't.
It made me feel a lot happier.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping you'd say.
Yeah.
Is like the return was more than financial.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
felt reconnected to why I wanted to, like, I love being creative. I love designing
yeah,
things and like looking at colors and choosing different papers and thinking up a drawing and doing the thing and then printing it.
yeah, and remembering that it's not a job.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's more than a job.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely feel the same way. I came back. I mean, for me, it gave me the self belief that I could be an international business.
Mm.
But ultimately, it was the passion to deliver and to like hone my craft,
Mm.
and that like for what like my NFT cost just over $3,000. Then
Mm.
add in travel and pissing about in Minneapolis, it's a $5,500 investment sort of thing.
Yeah.
My return, like maybe not financial, although it was in my case it was financial too, but
Great.
my return was just monstrous.
Mm.
Like the
Did you expect that?
um, I didn't do it for that reason. Not certainly not financially. I didn't do it for that
Mm.
reason. In terms of self growth, self worth, self actualization, I definitely hoped it would have an impact. I had no idea on the level of impact it would have.
Mm.
Like I'm a different person, uh, and for the better.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can just achieve so much more now.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like it took the ceiling off,
Yeah.
and like I see the world through a different lens as well. That's what's wild. It's like I really struggle with other people's negativity now, where before I
Mm.
used to like get in it.
Isn't it
Yeah.
interesting?
So before, like like when people like even just like watch the news and then you be like, oh yeah, that is shit.
Yeah.
Now I'm
Have you
like,
seen this? Oh, this is rubbish.
yeah, yeah, like oh, fucking raining today, and now I'm like, just don't see the world. Like I'm like annoying. I'm like, oh, it's pretty warm today, but it's raining. Oh, it'd probably be quite nice to go for a walk in that. Like it's and like we've got something going on at work at the minute that is challenging, let's say, and
Mhm.
it's a historic thing. I think someone's trying to take advantage of us, and
Mm.
I enjoy it. Like I enjoy the challenge. Where
Yeah.
before it would have been like a problem that consumed me.
Uh-huh.
So it's a very different perspective.
That's great.
But I see it in other people too that have gone through the same. Like there's
Mm-hmm.
there's people that I met on day one of VCon 1 that
Mm.
come day 4, because it was a 3-day conference plus a piss about the first time round. Come day
Yes.
4,
Good times. Good times.
they were like it's like they'd had a weight lifted off their shoulders. I was like,
Yeah.
fuck, like you were in black and white and now you're in colour. This is mental.
That's lovely.
So we've obviously touched on what that did for your business, what it did for you falling back in love with your craft.
Mm.
What was the conversation around internally around going to the second VCon?
Oh, I mean, that was obvious. Like, that was, yes. I don't understand. What?
Yeah,
That's,
no.
yeah, obviously. Yeah.
Because the next objection I got when I got home was like, "Oh, do you need to go to the next one?" I'm like,
Oh no, there was no question. I'm going to every single one.
so
Yeah.
here's a good question then. Let's assume, and I'm hoping this is the case, that after the third one, it just becomes one of those things that as long as you've got AV Friend NFT,
Yeah.
you can buy a ticket. Will you keep
Interesting.
going?
Um, I hope so. I'm not convinced that they'll, I don't
Carry on.
know. Yeah.
Such a big thing,
Like, I
isn't
don't
it?
know if it will be a yearly thing.
So I read a rumor that the way they did it this second time was much more like South by Southwest, with massive, like,
Hmm.
multi-faceted festival in America,
Hmm.
to see if they could make it commercially viable.
Hmm.
If that's true, I think I'm a lifer. Like, I'll just be there every year. I don't care what country I'm going.
Yeah. I think if it goes outside of America, I would be much more tempted.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Like if it's like fully international, like this year we're going to go here, this year we're going to go here, this year we're going here.
Yeah.
Because then it's like an excuse to go somewhere new.
Oh yeah, I
And I
love
like
that.
that.
I think it's a bit of a shame if my one criticism is Indianapolis and Minneapolis were quite similar places. Like there's
Mm.
loads of varied places in America, but
Mm.
those two those two just happen to be very similar.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would be cool if it was like in Texas or something, and then like
I was thinking that too.
yeah, and then like Seattle, like completely different type of place.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd love it to go global. But to be honest, even
Mm.
if it was like in a complete shithole, I'd still go.
I mean, yeah. Well, the thing with VCon 2 was it proper felt like summer camp because you knew loads of people.
Well,
Well, I knew
you
loads of
might have
people.
done, yeah,
Sorry, Jal. But now you know lots of people,
yeah.
and it just felt so love, like a lot more intimate, a lot more like, oh, all the friends. Oh my
So
God.
I loved the fact, and I wouldn't have noticed if it hadn't have sort of happened this way. But so many people were in NFTs and crypto for money, and
Mhm.
at VCon 2, those people weren't there.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
basically because the market had crashed. But
yeah,
it meant that the people there were the people that fucking love it,
yeah,
and like they were like, if you're going to build a tribe of people that love your business, that's the way to do it. It was just
yeah.
like, this is like wild. Like I could be sat for 5 minutes and speak to like three new people, and it was as if they
Mm.
knew me.
Yeah, and it's
Oh,
just still lovely.
yeah, and like I saw it with you, and I saw it with other people like in our UK gang, where people would just come over and start talking to us like they knew us,
Yeah,
and you're like, this is
just
wild.
so
Like,
nice.
and
I
I
love it
think on the last day
so.
we were walking out, and two people came up to me and like, oh, we've got your book. Can you sign it? And I was like,
Oh, that's so
this is
cool. I
like,
love that.
this is mental because like you only know me from social media,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I'm so humbled and so like, to be honest, like socially anxious by this scenario right now that like I'm like massively overwhelmed. It's just
Yeah.
like, but like in a good way. And
Yeah.
so, what would you say VCon 2 has meant for you? Did you notice again like another kind of like pump?
It was a lot more about um like it really felt community for me this
Yeah,
time. Going back and, seeing lots of the same faces and being like, "Oh, I know you." Uh, having a proper catch up and it being that bit smaller and like you say, getting rid of the people that are in it for the money and it being the people that really want to be there.
yeah.
Ugh. And just making friends in the queue, queuing up to meet Gary and all that kind of thing, and just being able to have a conversation with anyone that is vaguely in your vicinity and be
Yeah.
able to connect over
You could literally interrupt
something.
people you don't know's conversations, and they would just bring you into the chat.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like, I think the spin off for me from that was, how can I recreate that in my business?
Mm,
Like we have a member of staff dedicated to kind of customer relationships now, purely
mm,
because we want people to be like, oh, I should speak to Codebreak.
yeah,
Like they might know. It's like
yeah, yeah.
I want that, and like we don't just want to be the company that people come to when they need marketing. Like I'm sure you don't just want to be the company people come to when they want some stationery. It's
Mm,
like, oh, I've got ideas to bounce. I should speak to Athena, kind of thing.
yeah.
Yeah, cool. So, what's next for you?
So I am slightly tweaking the business,
Hmm.
actually. Um, I think I'm doing a bit too much at the moment. Too
Nice.
many things. So I'm just bring it in a little bit. And I want to make it easier for people.
Yeah.
So we do bespoke printing. Like my focus has been very much on doing the utterly bespoke. So we start from scratch. If you have a vague idea of something, then you can come in and then we will, figure out the unique thing and then I will design it and it's going to be fucking cool. And I think I forget that not everyone is creative in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see it very clearly, but they maybe cannot see it. So I'm trying to reduce that barrier. And so I'm going to start doing made to order things so that I can design a range of invites, for example, and then people that are maybe not as creative as me can actually see the thing and be like, oh, that's a really cool invite. I would like that. I just want that and that. Or, maybe they see the invite and they're like, oh, I really like that, but maybe I want that in a different color or like slightly tweak that. Or can we can we have a different illustration? And so that just makes it a bit easier for people. I want to take away the friction. That's what I want to do.
I love that. I think like that's such a smart way to develop the business, because we see this with so many of our clients where they try and be all things to everyone, like all things to all people to start with, which is kind of like a symptom of trying to gain traction anyway. And then
just try everything.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah.
Please.
Throw as much shit at the wall and see what sticks. Yeah. But then, like, you have to be bespoke in nature at that point because you don't quite know what people want yet. You need the experience before you can gauge what people want. But then when you can start to like productize your business and come up with like semi pre-prepared things, it's far more scalable.
Yeah.
But you don't take your passion or your craft away from the business. What you do is you put your passion and your craft into creating the next product rather than trying to create an incredible product for every single customer that comes through the door.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if that's a lesson people can take from this episode, that's massive, because there's so many businesses out there, particularly creative businesses, but it's the same for accountants, that they're like, oh, we do it this way for this client because they prefer it that way. So no, fuck that. Do it the way you should do it. And if they don't like it, you're not the accountant for them.
Yeah.
And when you get into that mindset, you start doing the work the way you want to do it. And when you start doing the work the way you want to do it, it's far more scalable because you can do 10 times as much.
Yeah. And it's also the thing of, because I've started designing, we're starting with wedding invitations, and I've started designing, I've done 3 so far. And like, I was finding it really fun to just think of what I think is a really good looking wedding invite and doing it exactly the way I would like it to look.
Yeah.
And then putting that out in the world, because then it's our style, it's the way I want it to look. And
then people are buying that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think like the frustration for creative types is if somebody comes in and says, I want a wedding invite like nobody else has had before, but they don't know what they want, they're impossible to communicate with. That client is impossible to please because they've got
I know it when I see it.
Yeah. That's the worst line. I'll know it when I see it. And then and also when you show them something that they don't like, they can't communicate why they don't like it.
Yes.
And then you're stuck. It's like, oh, well, I don't like blue. Give me
some words.
Yeah.
Please.
I don't like blue.
Please.
Well, but you asked for it in blue. Yeah, but I don't like that blue. Well, what blue do you like? I don't know. Oh, fuck off. Like, just get out of my shop. This is like my inner graphic designer coming out. But why is there so much white space around the edge? Because that gives it room to breathe. It makes it look classier. Well, it just looks like a waste of space to me. Get the fuck out of my shop. Yeah. So you've been an awesome guest. Thank you so much. What's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
I am Meticulous Inc. everywhere. You can follow us on all the socials. I'm probably on Instagram mostly.
Yep.
You can buy from us online, meticulousinc.com. And you can see lots of examples of our work on there as well. I'm also on TikTok.
Hell yeah.
Trying to do the TikTok. Yes.
And Threads now. You're on Threads now. You're like down with the kids.
I am on Threads.
Yeah.
That is true. Yes, I am down with the kids. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you for being such a great guest.
That's all right. Thanks, Joel.
You've been listening to the Stay Hungry podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, share, leave us a review. I'll love you forever. Visit andyandjoel.com if you want to know more about our coaching. We'd love to hear from you. Take care, everyone.